let's head back out to Denver. Shall we do that? Hear from the radio voice of your Trailblazers. He's Brian Wheeler. Wheels, thanks for the time, my friend.
Always a pleasure, fellas, and certainly happy to follow in the very large footsteps of Trailblazers President and CEO Chris McGowan.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. How did you spend today? I know you guys just flew out there this afternoon. Did you get a chance to enjoy any nightlife in Denver so far?
No. We just we just arrived within the hour. So your guys' timing is good. So and it's always the longest trip we have from an airport to a hotel is always in Denver. So this is kind of nice, though, as opposed to the last time. It's actually a little warmer here, for one. Two, it's also a situation where we now don't have to come in here on the second of a back-to-back. And for once, the Nuggets will be on the second of a back-to-back. So if you have to come here, this is about the best way to do it. And I think it's about as early as I can remember that we will have gotten our trips to Denver out of the way for the entire season now as of tomorrow night. So no more trips this way the rest of the way. And won't have to worry about it till next season. And hopefully we'll catch a Nuggets team. I have a feeling they're going to be a little more competitive than they were the first two times the Blazers saw them last month.
Yeah, how about that? Tomorrow is game number 18 for the Trailblazers, and it will be the third meeting already against those Denver Nuggets. But how about this, Wheels? Back-to-back Novembers of winning 12 games by the Trailblazers. Been a pretty impressive run. From your standpoint, what has been the key to this early season success, not only this season but even last year?
Well, I think last year, it was nice to see because, of course, it was coming off the 33-win year. This season, we knew that now you have the 54-win season. You got a first-round playoff victory, so you weren't going to be able to sneak up on anybody. And so I think that means that these are well-deserved victories that they've gotten. But I think they've gotten them in a different way. I mean, you still see the three-point shot. You still see some pretty darn good offense. But the fact that the Blazers are the only team in the NBA ranking in the top 5 in both scoring offense and scoring defense, that's encouraging to me because last year, even when the Blazers were winning and they had the very gaudy offensive numbers, we'd look at some of those defensive numbers and they would be down maybe in the bottom 10. And from January on, they were a much better defensive team the rest of the season, but they kind of had those stats early in the season where they were pretty much just outscoring teams, and that's how they were winning a lot of games. But I like the fact that they've held a lot of teams under 100 points. They've held a lot of teams under 90 points so far. So I think these are the kind of things that are sustainable. And I think these are the kind of things that are necessary to take the next step and be a club that can advance even further in the playoffs. So I'm encouraged by really not sacrificing anything at the offensive end and certainly making some very nice improvements at the defensive end.
It's interesting, Will, when you look at last year's November and this year's November, while the numbers are the same, I remember a year ago there was that surprise component where everybody was looking at the team's success like, wow, I didn't see that coming. And this year, while the team is having the same level of productivity in terms of wins and losses, I have oftentimes left the arena feeling like they can still play better. They haven't played their best basketball yet. And when I look down the road in this season, I think that's an encouraging sign. What's that look like from your perspective?
Yeah, it's a great point, Michael. I think, in fact, LaMarcus was interviewed after one of the home games last week, and at whatever point that was in the winning streak, win number 7, win number 8, it was brought up to him, and he said he didn't even realize that actually it had been that long a streak. And, Terry, like most coaches, always preaching about being in the moment and not looking too far ahead. And I think the other part of it is that whereas, as you say, last year, I think the 11-game winning streak was something that everybody got really, really excited about because it had been a while since a Blazer team had that kind of success since a lot of this group was around last season to enjoy that 11-game winning streak and enjoy the 54-win season and enjoy getting out of the first round of the playoffs. I think that they have great expectations for themselves to do even more this season. So, yeah, I think, putting it together another November winning streak, while it certainly is nice and puts them in a great position to, at least have a good jump on the season, I think that they do feel that there are some more tests to come and some more opportunities to impress, and I think they feel that there's still going to be some things that they can do to really feel even better about where they are this season. And I think this month of December will hold a lot of those opportunities, considering the number of road games that they're going to have.
Radio play-by-play voice for your Trailblazers. Joining us now from Denver, he is Brian Wheeler. Wheels, LaMarcus continues to move up these franchise lists. By Thursday, how about this? He could catch Michael Thompson for third place all-time in Trailblazer history in the rebound department. 216 now shy of catching Jerome Kersey for second place. How impressed are you by what L.A. has been able to accomplish over his tenure here with Portland?
Well, every time he approaches one of these milestones, it just always puts into perspective for me the fact that, when we looked at where he was chosen and when he came in from the very beginning as kind of the tag team partner, but very much the Robin to Brandon Roy's Batman, and then Greg Oden gets added to the mix, and now it's going to be a big three. But if you were to put those three in order, it probably would have been Brandon, Greg, maybe Greg, Brandon, and then LaMarcus certainly would have been number three. You could have debated 1 and 2, and the fact that he's the only one left standing. The fact that he went from a period of time where it was almost a certainty, it seemed, that he would not have a lengthy career in Portland, but now he's talking about potentially finishing his career and breaking all the records. I mean, it's really been an interesting transformation to look at the dynamic of his career and to see the acceptance of his time in Portland, and the fact that now he's really embraced the idea of just his legacy, and the fact that he could be at the top of all these records by the time all is said and done.
Wills, when I look at LaMarcus Aldridge in terms of his development as a player, I mean, he has become so versatile. I mean, there was the stretch 4 years, and now he's looking more prototypical as a power forward. I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is he looks stronger than everybody he plays against now, and I know he's feel that way.
Yeah, and I think he's becoming even more difficult to defend if he wasn't already, because I think we saw a move the other night in the Memphis game where I think he went up and under and a little scoop shot along the left baseline. So he was still operating from his favorite side of the floor, the left side, but he had a new move to introduce. And so I think we're finding out that because of his great ability to be a perimeter shooter, and I don't think there's any stretch four in the NBA that can go out now that he's added the three-point shot, and that's looked pretty good. I think that we see that he's added some distance to the range of his jump shot, but also getting a little more clever with his moves in the post as well. So the only thing I always want him to do, and again, you always want stars to do more. And I'd always love to see him shoot more free throws if he can. But again, sometimes I guess he's doing such a good job of shaking the defense that there's nobody close enough to foul him sometimes. But I'd love to see him get to the foul line more often. But I think that was the thing. The rebounding was always something that people picked on a lot, and now that he puts up double-digit rebounds on a pretty regular basis, and you see that rebound average going up again, and so he's going to be up around a double-double again, I'm sure. So and again, you look at him just kind of like we were talking about the team in general, and you see a guy that still probably has more to give, and at the age of 29, with as many great power forwards as there are in the league, I mean, I think he gets competitive and wanting to be the best. And I think finally around the country people are noticing how good really he has been, a story that we've kind of all known all along, but I think now he's getting a lot of that national recognition that he probably should have had all along.
No, you're right. And I think one of the things that Blazer fans will begin to appreciate even more and more about LaMarcus as he climbs up the record books in the Trailblazer pecking order, if you will, historically, is guys that become consistent rebounders like he's becoming right now don't eventually become guys that don't continue to do that. So for a while there was that kind of hope and request of LaMarcus that he would become a consistent rebounder, a double-digit rebounder. Well, the wish has been granted.
Yeah, and I think as he said after the game last night in the locker room, the fact that, and he may have even said it to you, Michael, in the post-game interview too, that he really appreciates what Robin has brought to the mix, and I don't think we can underestimate how much having, for the first time maybe in a long while, who knows, I guess you could argue maybe the first time in his career, I mean, a bona fide legitimate center that's been right next to him. And people used to always complain at other stops for Robin in his career that he wasn't rebounding enough. And now that's, of course, the big complaint about his brother, that his brother doesn't rebound enough. But we see Robin have big rebound games, but we also see lots of instances where, he kind of absorbs the traffic around, around the hoop and lets LaMarcus have a clear path to get his rebounds. And that's kind of just the unselfish team player that Robin is. But it's something that LaMarcus certainly notices, that as opposed to, for instance, the year before Robin got here when J.J. Hickson was the center, LaMarcus knew full well what it was like to kind of almost feel like the center and all the attention that gets and all the banging you have to do every night. So he knows that he has a little bit more of a clear path to rebounds than he had previously. So I know he very much appreciates what Robin has done to kind of help boost his rebound average. But I agree with you. I think now that he's gotten the thrill of having these big rebound games, and there are times, and late game situation where he gets some very tough rebounds, where those are rebounds that he's got to go get. They don't just come to him. So I think in those situations he's really, kind of embraced the fun part, which is often the, kind of the dirty, the grind part of the game. It's not necessarily the flashy part that gets put on the national highlights, but it's something that obviously he knows is very much appreciated and needed for this Blazer team to succeed.
He is Brian Wheeler, the radio play-by-play voice for your Trailblazers, joining us. You can follow him on Twitter at BlazerWheels. The reason I bring up Twitter is because we always reach out, Wheels, as you know, to fans and those in Rip City to try to, ask a question or two of us and of our guests. So I've got one for you from Jason Hassler, hoping for an update on C.J. McCollum. Anything that you can provide on how C.J.'s progressing?
It was funny when C.J. First got hurt, and they asked him about the fact that, it said that he was going to be reevaluated in a month. He was kind of honest, and he said to the media that was talking to him that day after practice, he said, I think they just said that to you guys because they just didn't want you asking every week, for an update. That was just kind of the way of putting you guys off a little bit. So he said, I'm going to get regular checkups. I'm going to get, regular, doctor visits and so forth. Now, the thing is, he may be going through those regular visits, but I think the team is being very, cautious and deliberative about the results or releasing information about those kind of things. So when I ask, I get told that he's making progress. So that's usually what I get told. So I'm not getting any more information than anybody else is, let's put it that way. But he showed last year he was a pretty quick healer. The nice thing about this injury, obviously, is he can stay in shape. It's a little easier than having the foot injury. So I don't imagine that there's going to be too much of a fitness setback. But we all know that, being fit versus basketball fit are two different things. So it's going to take him a while to get back into the mix. And that's what was frustrating. He was really doing a nice job of getting into the regular rotation. But I think, with the injury to Nicola Batum, the injury to him, now we've discovered Alan Crabb. So that's a good thing, too. And it just means this will be a deeper team when CJ comes back. So I'm not too concerned. I think that, if the original estimate is correct, then we're probably looking at maybe coming back sometime later this month, or at the very least, I would think first part of January.
As important as that question was about C.J. McCollum and his health, we have a more important question now, and that question comes from Angie, who wants to know, she asked of Michael and I, are we as upset as the rest of all of Rip City that Myers Leonard's mustache is now gone? Is that true? Can you tell us, is there any truth to that rumor?
Oh, it's gone. Yeah.
Oh, it's
definitely gone. Yeah, okay. He decided that he was going to. I don't know if it was a vote that came in. He asked for a vote. He asked for some opinions, but I think he decided that he was going to he was going to take care of it. And I have a feeling, to be honest with you, I thought it was barely there. So to me, I think he needs to try it again, and maybe hopefully it comes in a little fuller next time. But so I was in favor of it going. I didn't even think it was really there to begin with. But again, the female population in Blazer Nation, they probably have a whole different opinion about things. Well, as a fiance, maybe she had the ultimate opinion. Maybe she wanted it to go, and maybe that's why it went. Because as you guys know, as happily married men, when the key woman in your life wants something a certain way, then you're probably smart to adhere to it. So I haven't heard what the motivation was ultimately, but Myers did decide that it had to go.
I saw him in the loading dock yesterday, and I asked him about that. I said, is the mustache coming or going? This is the final day of November. He said last night in the loading dock, I'm not sure yet. I'm not sure. But just give it time.
Yeah, it got swayed somewhere from your conversation to some point last night. It got swayed to be eliminated.
All right. Well, as long as his Twitter account, the Myers Leonard's mustache, has its own Twitter account.
Yeah, that was funny. I wish that would stay around. That was better than the mustache itself, in my
opinion. made our top tweets many a time. Wheels, thank you for the time. Let's go get another win tomorrow, huh?
I like it, fellas. Appreciate it. Have a great rest of the show, and we'll see you when we get back.
Sounds good, Wheels. Thank you very much. Brian Wheeler, voice of your Trailblazers, joining us from Denver, where the Trailblazers will meet the Nuggets tomorrow night.